Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. Before we get started, guys, I want to thank everyone that has sent me tips. If you do leave me a comment or a direct message, send me a direct message on Twitter or on Discord or on Facebook or wherever it happened to be, or just leave a public comment for people to see. Just letting me know that you did send me a tip, guys. I'll certainly give you a shout out on the next videos. And for those of you that just send tips without the comments, guys, I do see it and I really appreciate it. I haven't said this before, and I apologize for not doing that. It's not for lack of gratitude. I appreciate every tip you guys sent. I really do, guys. I don't do this for the tips. I do this as a way to give back. I've been very fortunate, and feel almost an obligation to give back to the community. Cryptocurrency has just been great for me. It's been life changing for me, and I want to make sure that I'm reciprocating as best I can. And the best way I know to do that is to make videos. But for those that do send the tips, guys, it really does mean a lot, and it's not the amount. I'll just start out here. Billy Bob 29, thank you very much, man. Very generous of you. Fairy Blast. Fairy Blast, man. Where do you get that name? That's an awesome name, man. Great. Thank you very much for the tip, Fairy Blast. I really appreciate that. And then I'm going to butcher this name. As time goes by. Sorry, I'm reading that all as one word. As time goes by, I got you. Thank you very much. As time goes by, and you said in your comment, you apologize, you couldn't send more. No, man, I appreciate. Even if you send, if you send 20 cents, $20, or $100, whatever you happen to send, man, it's not the amount. It's just, it's seeing the tip that makes me smile. It just lets me know that I'm doing something right, and I really appreciate that. All right, guys, I want to move on. Looking at Bitcoin to the U.S. dollars, the one-day chart. Looking at Coinbase, and last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin. Pardon me. Last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin had broken down here, guys. I think it was sitting somewhere around 7,800-ish. And I told you guys it looked to me like we were very likely going to end up breaking back down and possibly testing that $7,500 area. Told you guys if we did test that area that we'd likely see a little bounce. That was a tradable event in my opinion, and we did see that, guys. Price came back down here, tested almost right at 7,500. I think it wicked just below it briefly, but certainly was not a decisive break below 7,500. So far that has held very nicely. I mean, if I can speak proper English, has held very nicely, and we did get that nice bounce. If you bought down there at 7,500, you had an opportunity to let's see, you had about a a $430 bounce. So if you sold, that's a nice little scalp trade. So if you did take that trade, congratulations, guys. As of right now, it does seem to be holding, although we do seem to be consolidating. If I come in here to the 4-hour chart, we seem to be consolidating here, maybe even starting to break out of a little bit of a wedge here, guys. I don't want to put too much into this. It does look a little bit like a bearish pennant, but overall, what we're seeing here, regardless of whether or not you want to categorize this as a wedge or not, which it is, but regardless of what you want to call it, it does look like we're seeing again some, as we talked about last time, weakness in the market. It does look like we very likely had topped out there at $9,090, and we're on that larger correction, and we're coming back down. Looks like we just did reach about 7,600. Looks to me like we may come back down, guys, especially if we end up breaking out strongly out of this wedge here. We're going to come back down and test this support again. Looks like at least 7,500, and we'll have to wait and see. I would not play the bounce this time, guys. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. You do what you want. Personally, I'm not going to play the bounce this time. Did last time, will not this time. I pointed out last time, if we just go swing low, swing high, this overall structure, that is sitting right at the 382. This is one of the major reasons. Obviously, this was an area of resistance support, so a very logical area to expect a bounce. But then when you compound that with the 382, of course, we were looking for that bounce that we did get. Testing it again a second time, could this be a double bottom? Yeah, I don't like to play that. I'm not going to rely on a double bottom, especially when all signs are that we have topped out. All signs are showing that we may start to see a larger correction. Now, we could break to the upside here. We could get a second bounce here. That's certainly on the table here, guys. I'm just saying I'm not going to play it. I'm very likely going to play it safe here, guys, and wait until even if we get a break up here, guys, to come back up and test 8150. This area, what was resistance, turn support, that will very likely turn into resistance again. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to play this until we do break below 7,500 decisively. By decisively, I mean probably just a 4-hour candle this time, opening and closing below that 7,500. If that does happen, I think we're very likely heading down to about 7,200, 7,100. somewhere in that neighborhood. And if I come out here to the daily chart, let me get rid of this our fib level here. If I come out here to the daily chart, as I pointed out last time, guys, this $7,200 region is very, very relevant in that it turned from resistance back into support. We found support here for 2 days on May the 18th, May the 19th. I would expect this to play a role to at least get a bounce off this zone. I would expect this to be a tradable bounce. Just make sure that you've got your stop loss tight. Bitcoin, if it's anything, it's unpredictable. As I always say, guys, the only thing consistent with cryptocurrency is it consistently surprises. So could we come back down and just disregard that 7,200? Yes. Yes, we absolutely could. That is possible, although I will very likely play a look for a bounce in this area, try and take a trade off this area, bouncing back up to about 74, 7,500. I'll likely front run that and get out at about 7,400. And then I'm not going to hold on to that, though. That'll be a quick scalp trade. I'll be in, I'll be out. And then looking to see if we actually bottom out there at that 7,200 or if we do continue down. If we continue down, the next area of any possible hope, in my opinion, is going to be around 67.50, although I will not expect it to hold this time. I would expect more likely a drop down to between 65 and 6,600. This area here, as I pointed out last time, that was a major area of resistance back in November of 2018 before completely breaking down to that 3150 low. I would expect that resistance to act as support on the way back down. Not only that, and again, I apologize for repeating myself, but for those that may have missed the last videos, if we go swing low, swing high of the overall structure here, no, excuse me, not the overall structure, I'm getting ahead of myself, of this latest structure. So from the last point of consolidation to the high, and then of course we're breaking down here, that would put that golden pocket between the 618 and the 6.5 fib level, also known as the golden pocket. That would put it right there, literally right in between this area of potential support between 65 and 6,600. So yeah, I would be looking for a nice little bounce off of that area. If we do break below 7,200, I would call that the next likely target. Now, as I said, I was getting ahead of myself before. Now, if I do look at the overall structure, and I pointed this out in my last video, and we take this all into account, in other words, the bottom at 3150 all the way to the top at $9,090, then that's when you start looking at that golden pocket coming all the way. Actually, I must not be right on that tick, right at 3130. And okay, and actually, I am a little bit high there. 91.90. That makes a little more sense now. There we go. And so we can see that 618 fib level between the 618 and the 65 lines up almost perfectly with the last area, especially, let me come out here on the weekly because it really illustrates it much better. Coming out here on the weekly, that was the last area of major consolidation on the weekly chart, where price just consolidated basically between 5,000 and 5,500 all throughout the month of April. This would be a logical landing zone if price does break below 6,500 decisively. By decisively, I mean a daily candle opening and closing below 6,500. So two targets, two possible lows. 6,500 is the first area. Between 65 and 6,600, I'll be looking for a possible bottom bounce. Now, could we bounce at 7,200 and then continue to the upside? Absolutely. That's an absolute possibility. I would say that would be probably the most bullish scenario here. But again, I would say if 7,200 does break down, guys, then we're looking at that between 6,500 and 6,600. If 6,600 does break down, then we're looking for that low, and this is where I would expect it to be a low. This is where I will still be comfortable being bullish, but priced retracing to all the way down to this area between about 5,000 and 5,500. If this area breaks down, that's when, again, I start to think this whole thing was a sham. But I will remain long-term bullish. In other words, I will believe that we are in a bull run up until the point we break below this area of consolidation right here, which the bottom sits at about $5,000. All right, checking our moving averages, exponential moving averages, Bollinger Bands here, we can see that we're certainly sitting right on, this is the 4-hour chart, we're sitting right on top of the 200 simple moving average on the 4-hour chart, guys. So, this is acting as a decent support for now. Again, if we do break below that, guys, again, probably a quick drop down to at least 7,200. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Let's check out the daily. Daily chart is, as I said last time, we have now opened and closed below the 21-day EMA. That typically does signal a shift in momentum, and that does solidify, in my opinion, that does shift the momentum completely now in favor of the bears for now. Now, we'll have to wait and see if this can get shifted around, guys. And if we get a daily candle opening and closing back above the 21-day EMA, not a break above, but a open and close above the 21-day EMA, then I'll start to believe that maybe the bulls have some life left in them. But for now, it looks like the bears are in control. Again, that's just completely in my opinion. Does look like the 8-day EMA is about to cross over the 21-day EMA in the next couple days. We'll have to wait and see if that plays out. But if that does, again, that'll be another signal that possibly that likely we do have some lower lower prices in our very near future. Again, we'll have to wait and see kind of how it ends up playing out here. Coming out here to the weekly chart, as we talked about last time, guys, just, this doji, or it's really a doji. Doji, that was your first signal that we may be topping out, and of course we have the follow through now. So again, all of this does suggest a potential lower prices to come. Now, does that mean we can't get a little decent bounce and come back up and test 8,000 or even 8,100? No, we certainly can't. We could. That's definitely on the table. I don't want to count that out, guys. If you're a swing and or day trader, guys, I'm not telling you that we're not going to come back up and retest this zone up here. But I would expect at this point a rejection off of this zone. If we come back up and test it, I'd expect a rejection. When will I start to get bullish and flip that around? Once we get a daily candle opening and closing above 81.50, which again would bring us above our 21-day EMA. Sorry, that's the weekly. Our 21-day EMA here on the daily chart, obviously. So just to kind of give you an idea of the things that I'm keeping an eye on. All right, quickly checking longs and shorts. Shorts are falling off here. Longs also falling off here, guys. That suggests when you've got longs and shorts both falling like this, longs are now outpacing shorts again, but that's not because we had a spike in longs, quite the opposite, but that's just because shorts just started falling off the board so rapidly. Yeah, we've now got a lot of uncertainty in the market, guys. We've now got people that are just getting out, likely just taking profits, and everybody's kind of sitting back and waiting to see what happens, to see where price goes, believing that we may in fact be in that larger correction, just not willing to put their money on it quite yet. And we can see that if we come in here and look at the overall volume. All right, I don't know what's wrong with my internet connection here. Yeah, coming up to the overall volume, guys, looking at 19.1 billion on the day. That is a little bit of a drop off from what we have been seeing, quite a bit actually. We were at 29 billion, we were at 30 billion there for a little bit. But yeah, 29 billion, then dropping to 25, 22, 20, back up to 24, and then volume just dropping to where we're at 19.1 billion for the day. Again, overall, if we're looking in the last 5 months, that's a nice increase in volume. But from the perspective of the last couple months, that's a little bit of a decrease, and again does suggest a lot of uncertainty in the market. People kind of just not willing to go in short yet, but everybody's kind of sitting there waiting to see, holding their breath, waiting for Bitcoin to make its next move. And again, in my opinion, even though temporarily maybe another kick up here to test 81.50, I do believe that we're going to break 8,500 and at least come back down and test between 7,200, maybe even 7,000 potentially holds. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. All right, pulling out on the weekly chart, guys. Yeah, it does look like we're, it is looking like we want to test that 7,200, guys. That's where that 8-day EMA is as well. So yeah, that again does suggest possibly coming back down, testing 7,200, 72, 7,100. That area seems like a very logical target. If we zoom in here to the weekly, we can also see that is where we had this split on the weekly, guys. That is where resistance turned into support, and that's it right around 7,000. So yeah, could I see us wicking down to 7,000? Yeah, that's a real possibility. And we can't forget, I oftentimes forget to put this in here, and it's extremely important. I apologize for not putting this in here more often. We cannot forget, looking at CMEs, this gap that needs to get filled. That it would be extremely unusual if this gap did not get filled. Doesn't mean it has to happen right away, no. But eventually, this gap will very likely get filled, and this gap sits between approximately about 71.70, let's call it, and 71.70 and about 7,500-ish. So yeah, this does suggest again a breakdown to about 70, 71, 7,200-ish, maybe a little wick right below that. But it would also suggest an area of potential support. So this is why I'm saying that yes, could we break down here? Yes, but could that be the bottom of the correction? Yes, that could also be the bottom. I'm sure. I'm not sure of anything. I take that back. But there could potentially be a lot of buyers here down around 72, 7,100, and we'll have to wait and see how price reacts at that zone. But that's another reason why I am definitely a scalper, at least a scalper, off of that $72, $7,100 area. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things there. If you do have any comments, oh, one more thing. I feel stupid mentioning this, guys. I don't ever like to mention this, guys. I'm a terrible salesman, but if you do ever want to tip the channel, you'll find the below the YouTube channel, you'll find the tip jar addresses for Bitcoin, Litecoin, whatever you happen to do. If you want to, if you just want to throw something in my coffee fund, that's pretty much what it goes to. It's certainly I certainly do appreciate it, guys. A lot of gratitude, but please don't ever feel obligated to do that. In fact, I felt terrible when I'm not even going to mention his name, but when someone sent me a tip, guy, saying that he apologized for the small amount, saying that's all he could afford. Don't if you're in a financial situation, please do not tip my channel. I don't need the money. I appreciate it. Please don't get me wrong. It is so much gratitude, guys. It feels so good. Even a small amount, a 20-cent tip, just something to, it's kind of the thought that counts type things. I really appreciate it, but never feel obligated. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it there, guys. You probably won't hear me bringing that up again. So, all right, guys, any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Till next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working. Signing out.